Most network access control agents have one function. They check for compliance.
This one doesn't.
It also provides USB control, screen lock enforcement, and wireless policy management.
And it includes Windows Update Management.
These functions are included. There is no extra license. And the agent has no kernel driver.
To understand how this works, we have to start with the baseline, which is an agentless system.
Agent installation is optional. The Genian NAC states the system can be configured without an agent.
So, what does Agentless provide? The network sensors give you IP and MAC address detection and identify the device platform. All 7 enforcement methods can be applied in this mode. That provides coverage for devices like IoT and OT equipment, and it's all done without reconfiguring your network.
So that's the agentless baseline. Now, what happens when you install the optional agent? This is where you get additional insight and control.
Let's compare them. A network sensor sees the external information, IP and MAC address, hostname, which switch port it's on. The agent, on the other hand, sees internal information. It reports the OS version and patch state, the list of installed software, connected USB devices, and the user's login status. Access to that internal endpoint data is what lets the agent move from collecting information to controlling the endpoint based on policy.
The agent's actions fall into 6 categories. Security compliance, which checks things like AV status. OS configuration, for screen lock and firewalls. Windows Update Management. USB device control, wireless LAN control, and finally self-protection to prevent tampering.
Now, how the agent performs these actions is a key point. It was designed without a kernel driver.
Here's the difference. An agent with a kernel driver has direct access to kernel memory. If it has an error, it can cause a system crash, a blue screen of death. These agents also typically require a reboot when updated. This agent runs at the application layer. It has no direct kernel memory access. The BSOD risk is not present, and a reboot is not required for updates.
So what this means is that an agent process error does not propagate to the operating system, the computer does not crash.
When you have compliance, USB control, screen lock, and update management in a single agent, you get agent consolidation.
Think about the agents this can replace. You might have a dedicated agent for USB control, one for screen lock policies, another for Windows Update Management, another for wireless control, and one for compliance checks. This one agent can perform all those functions.
Let's look at the effect of that consolidation. You go from multiple license costs to one, from managing multiple consoles to a single console, and the compatibility risk of multiple agents conflicting with each other is removed.
So, how does this compare to other options in the NAC market? Let's review the facts.
With Cisco ISE, agent-based posture requires a secure client license. With FortiNAC, it requires a FortiClient EMS license. And with Aruba ClearPass, it requires an on-guard license. Each is a separate license.
With Forescout, the agent requires an eye-control license, and advanced functions often require purchasing additional modules.
This table shows the comparison. For USB control and screen lock, these functions are not in the base scope for the other vendors. An additional license is required for all of them to enable their agent. For Genian NAC, these functions are included, no additional license is required, and there is no kernel driver.
So, let's summarize the key points.
First, the agentless baseline provides full visibility and enforcement without endpoint installation. Second, if you use the agent, functions for USB, screen lock, wireless, Windows Update, and compliance are included. And third, the agent runs at the application layer, which means no BSOD risk and no reboot needed for updates.
Which brings us back to the original question. Does your NAC agent stop at compliance?